So tonight I'm going to be tying a Clouser Minnow. This is kind of my version of it, a pattern variation that works for me. It's loosely based on like the original Clouser, just with a few tweaks. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start off with a size 2 saltwater streamer hook. Let's get that into the vise. Okay, and then using my trusty medium mono thread, I'm going to start about 3 or 4 mil from the eye. Now I'm not going to wrap too far, because the first thing that I'm going to do is put on some bead chain eyes. So on regular Clouser you'd probably find dumbbell eyes. I use the bead chain mainly because I don't ever really fish anywhere particularly deep. And this is a fly that, yes, I want it to get down in the water column, but I don't want it to be dragging the bottom necessarily, or I'm fishing somewhere that's shallow enough where it's still going to be dragging the bottom anyway, even though it's not as heavy as a proper dumbbell. So that's the bead chain eye. It's pretty difficult to see compared to the like heavy dumbbells. So it's much smaller, not going to drag the fly down as quickly. And then with this, I sort of place it over the thread and wrap around the middle of it first, and then pull that up, get it onto the top of the hook, and then do one wrap over the top, and then do cross wraps over the eyes, 3 one way, 3 the other way. Then to lock it into place, I'm going to come underneath the dumbbell eyes and go around them on the top of the hook. It's kind of difficult to explain, so I'm not coming underneath the hook, I'm just coming under the eye, over the top of the hook, under the eye, back over the top of the hook, and I'm going to do that at least 10 times fairly tightly. And what that does is it just helps sit the eyes really well on the top of the hook. And then do a couple more cross wraps each way, and because it's mono, it will still spin. Like, I can roll that around the hook, so I'm going to just put a dab of super glue on that. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is tie down to the end of the hook, and I'm going to stop just about in line with the barb. And then I've got some sort of pearly flash material. It's sort of a white flash, not crystal flash. This stuff is lure flash. I think I got it from Glasgow Angling Centre or somewhere, and it was about £1 for a pack of 4 different hanks of this stuff in different colours and shapes and forms. But I'm going to pinch off quite a decent chunk of that. So I've got quite a good, like a 3-4 mil straw sort of thickness of the material, and then I'm going to want about 2 hook lengths to form a tail. So I'm going to tie that in there. Get a couple of decent wraps on that. Then I'm going to keep this bit here. I'm going to come back up the shank of the hook over the eyes to just in front of the bead chain eyes there, and then with this I'm just going to wrap it around as a body. And when I get to the eyes, I'm going to cross wrap it over, come back around the eye, and then cross wrap over the other way, and come back around the eye again and do one more. And that's just going to give it a bit more bulk around the eye for a body. And then I can tie that off just in front of the eye. And trim away the waist. Okay, so now that that's all done, I can turn the fly over the other way. So at this point, it's optional, but I'm just going to put a couple of strands of crystal flash, just to add a bit of extra attraction. So these I just do the same length as the tail from the other flash, but I tie it in front of the bead chain eyes. What I can do is just take the excess, pull that back over the other side, and then I've got 2 strands, and that's enough. I'll just cut that to length. So now I've got 2 strands of flash in there as well. Just even that up. Okay. So this is where things get probably a bit more different. Again, because normally this flash would be white bucktail or something like that, which I do tie them like that as well. But this is my sort of favourite pattern for bass at the moment, for the Clouser. So I've used the flash, tied the crystal flash in. Now I'm going to tie in a couple of Grizzly Hackle feathers, like this. And these, I think, just give it a bit of a sort of a fry fish, kind of bait fishy look, a bit more natural against all the flash. And I'm just going to strip the front of the sort of the quill, give me a tying point. And what I want is 2 feathers that, if they're placed opposite each other, they're going to curve inwards, so that they give a sort of a tail profile. And I tie these in. It's tricky to show on the camera, but I tie these in front of the bead chain, but I want them to lie flat against the rest of the fly, which I'll try and show you in a sec. So if I just turn that over, you can see the feathers just coming down the side of the fly in line with the tail. So I'm just going to put the other one on. And again, I want it to lie flat down the side of the fly, but I'm tying it in front of the bead chain eyes. That one might just need a bit of an adjustment. Okay, let's see how that's sitting. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, so the last piece is some bucktail. And my favourite colour, well, the colour I've had the most success on is orange. Why that is, I don't know. Because I guess, you know, it's not a natural colour. But I don't know how bass perceive colour. So it could be that, you know, this particular orange reflects UV light quite well. That might help. It might be that it's, you know, just a bit more natural than, say, chartreuse, but then it's a bit more of a attention-grabbing colour than, say, like an olive or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to grab a reasonable sized bunch. cut it, I just like to tease out any of the like underfur from the base of the hairs, but it's a reasonable chunk. I mean, when it gets wet and it fishes, that's going to be really narrow and quite thin, but yeah, that's sort of what you're going for. And where I've cut the ends, I might just trim them again so that they're nice and flat. I'm going to place that just on top of the eye, and then I'm going to come over the top loosely for the first wrap, because this is quite tricky where it sort of likes to roll around the hook. Come around loosely a few more times, maybe 3 or 4, and then as I start to work down towards the eye, I'm going to pull in tighter. And it will start to kind of like bend upwards, although that's actually lying quite neat, that's not too bad. So before I really get this locked down, I just want to make sure that I trim around the eye of the hook so that it's nice and clear. Just so that when I come to tie this fly on, there's not all tie material and tying thread in the way. Right, and then we can give this a nice good wrapping over. And then do a whip finish. Oops. Because it's mono, I like to do 5 or 6 turns because it does like to slip out of the knot. And then what I can do as well before I cut it to make sure that it's definitely locked in is put some super glue on there. I like to get it to just go over my tying thread onto the bucktail a little bit, just to stop the bucktail fibres from coming loose. Okay, turn that over. So you cut that now, it should be right. You can use UV resin or normal head cement, but with this mono I find the super glue dries really quickly. Forms a nice solid wrap, and then yeah, that is pretty much the finished fly. So it looks kind of rough and ready, but once it gets wet, that all gets really streamlined. And it's a good bait fish profile, shrimp profile, that kind of thing. And yeah, works really well for the bass. So I hope that was useful. My flies aren't going to win any prizes, but they catch fish, and that's the main thing. This particular Clouser, it's good for shallow water, it's good for fast flowing water where you just want that little bit of extra depth. And yeah, bass seem to like it, and I've been catching on it all season long. So yeah, get out there, give Clausers a try. All right, so tight lines, I'll see you in the next one.